In a remote mountain village shrouded in mist, a reclusive composer named Elias is whispered about in hushed voices. Once a prodigy, he withdrew from the world decades ago, his performances vanishing into legend. But rumors persist about a final masterpiece, a symphony so powerful it can weave itself into the mind, bending emotions, erasing thoughts, even controlling those who listen. One autumn evening, a young journalist named Clara arrives at Elias's secluded estate, determined to uncover the truth. The mansion looms at the edge of the woods, its spires clawing at the sky, windows dark like empty sockets. The air smells of damp stone and something faintly metallic, like dried blood. Elias himself is gaunt, his fingers stained with ink and something darker. When she asks about the symphony, his expression flickers between pride and fear. Still, he allows her to stay for a week, warning her only once. There are things in this house you must never disturb. From the start, Clara senses something is wrong. The halls seem to stretch endlessly at night, doors appearing where they hadn't been before. The servants, pale, silent figures, move like ghosts, their eyes vacant, their lips stitched into uneasy smiles. The mansion's clocks are all frozen at 3:33 a.m., and outside, the wind never stops whispering. Most unsettling is the locked room at the end of the corridor. The air near it feels thick, pressing against her like unseen hands. Late one night, drawn by a pull she can't explain, Clara picks the lock. The room is empty except for an antique gramophone and a single record labeled The Silent Symphony. A chill runs down her spine. The air crackles with something unseen, like a static charge before a lightning strike. But curiosity overpowers reason. She places the needle. At first, there is nothing, only a vast, aching silence. Then, a faint hum seeps into the room, growing, pulsing. The shadows in the corners deepen, stretching toward her like hungry fingers. The walls pulse as if breathing, and the cold seeps into her bones. Then, whispers. Not in her ears, but in her skull. Clara, listen. Let us in. She stumbles back, but the gramophone won't stop. Her hands tremble as she tries to lift the needle, but it resists, as if the very air has turned solid. Then Elias is there, his face twisted in horror. You've awakened it, he breathes. A low moan rises from the record. The whispering becomes a chorus, each voice layered upon the next, weaving together in an unnatural harmony. Clara's vision warps, shapes writhing in the air, figures forming in the shadows. The servants begin to move, their eyes glowing like embers, lips parting to reveal blackened tongues. They whisper in unison, a phrase she cannot understand, yet somehow knows. Elias seizes her arm, dragging her from the room. The hum follows, burrowing into her skull, her thoughts dissolving like ink in water. The last thing she sees before the door slams shut is something stepping from the gramophone. Not a shadow, not a man. Something older. The next morning, the village is silent. The estate's gates stand open, but inside there is no sign of Clara, no sign of the servants, only Elias, sitting at his piano, his fingers gliding over the keys. His eyes are hollow, his smile stretched too wide. The villagers ask where Clara is. Elias only chuckles, his voice not entirely his own. The symphony is complete, he whispers, and it's time for the world to listen. Behind him, the gramophone turns on by itself, and the whispers begin again. The disappearances began quietly, one child, then another, always on their 7th birthday. No sign of struggle, no footprints in the dirt, No forced doors or shattered windows, just an empty bed, and in its place, a small wooden doll, a perfect hand-carved likeness of the missing child, its painted eyes frozen in an expression of silent terror. Panic spread through the quiet coastal town like a sickness. Parents locked their doors, kept their children close, whispered prayers into the wind. But the vanishings continued, relentless and unexplained. Maya, a single mother, refused to let her daughter be next. Lily was turning 7 in a matter of hours. That night, as the clock neared midnight, Maya barricaded the doors, checked the locks, and sat awake by her daughter's bedside, gripping a kitchen knife in her shaking hands. Then, at exactly 12 a.m., the power went out. The house was swallowed in darkness. The silence was suffocating. Maya's pulse thundered in her ears as she fumbled for her phone, its dim glow barely piercing the pitch-black room. "Lily," she whispered, reaching toward the bed. Her hands met only sheets, cold, empty. She flicked on the flashlight. Lily was gone. A single wooden doll rested on the pillow, its tiny lips curved in a faint, eerie smile. Maya choked back a scream, but then a whisper, not from the room, not from the house, from somewhere beyond, carried on the wind, beckoning. Maya ran into the night, the town's streets stretching before her like an endless maze. The whisper guided her, pulling her toward the lighthouse on the edge of the cliffs, a structure long abandoned, its windows gaping like hollow eyes. Inside, the air smelled of dust, salt, and something sickly sweet, wood shavings mixed with decay. The whispering grew louder, but now it wasn't a single voice. It was many, soft, childlike, pleading. Maya pushed open a rusted door and froze. The hidden room was filled with hundreds of dolls, each standing on wooden shelves like an eerie congregation. The candlelight made them seem almost alive, their small painted mouths, their delicate hands, their staring, blinking eyes. At the center of the room stood an old man, his fingers stained with paint and sawdust. His sunken eyes gleamed as he traced a hand over one of the dolls. "They're not gone," he murmured, almost reverently. "They're here. I made them perfect." Maya's breath hitched as she scanned the dolls, her stomach twisting. Then she saw it. Lily's doll. It sat apart from the others, its small hands outstretched, its wooden fingers curled as if reaching for her, and its eyes, its real, moving eyes, locked onto Maya's. The toy maker sighed almost wistfully. "I lost my daughter once. She would have faded, grown old, forgotten me. But now, she never will." His lips curled into a smile, his cracked teeth showing. "And neither will Lily, or you." The dolls began to move, their tiny heads tilted, their fingers flexed. One by one, they stepped down from their shelves, their wooden limbs creaking like old floorboards. Maya backed away. The dolls reached for her. She turned, sprinting for the door, but they were fast. Their hands clawed at her dress, her arms, her hair. Their touch was cold, unnatural. 100 little voices whispering in her ears. "Stay, stay with us, stay forever." The toy maker loomed behind them, watching, smiling. Lily's doll stepped forward, and it spoke. "Mommy!" Maya screamed. The next morning, the lighthouse was empty, but on the windowsill, where the morning sun cast long, golden beams, sat 2 new dolls. A mother and her daughter, side by side. Their eyes were still moving, still watching, still whispering for someone to listen. In a sprawling, fog-drenched city where gas lamps flicker against the ever-present gloom, a reclusive inventor named Victor hides away in his mansion, consumed by an obsession. He has created something unnatural, something forbidden, a device that can bring the dead back to life. But there is a cost. The resurrected return only for 7 days before their bodies betray them, rotting from the inside out. Their voices grow hollow, their eyes glassy, their movements wrong. Victor should have abandoned his creation, should have destroyed it. But he could not when it meant losing her again. Eleanor, his beloved wife, had died tragically years ago, and ever since, every 7 days, Victor has brought her back. He stitches her flesh with meticulous care, replaces her decayed organs with intricate clockwork, and winds the mechanism that keeps her heart ticking. But each time, something is missing. Eleanor's warmth fades. Her laughter grows distant. Her soul, if it ever truly returns, slips further away. And yet, Victor cannot stop. But something is changing. One evening, Eleanor does something she has never done before. She remembers. Flashes of her death. The argument, the betrayal, the hands that pushed her, the terrible weightlessness of the fall. She confronts Victor, her voice trembling with something between confusion and horror. "What did you do to me?" Victor's face is a mask of denial. He insists it was an accident. He begs her not to leave, and when she tries, he locks the doors. "You don't understand," he whispers. "I can fix this. I just need more time." As the days pass, Eleanor searches the mansion, and deep within Victor's workshop, she finds his journal. The truth is inked in its yellowed pages. Victor didn't just create the resurrection device. He built it to cover up her murder. Eleanor was never meant to come back whole. She was never meant to remember. Now, on the 7th day, her body begins to fail once more. Her limbs stiffen, her voice cracks, her vision blurs. But this time, she refuses to submit. "Let me go," she pleads. Victor does not listen. He will not let her die. Desperation twisting his features, he straps her to the operating table, his trembling hands adjusting gears, replacing wires, preparing to restart the cycle one last time. But as the clock strikes midnight, something happens. Eleanor does not die. Her mechanical heart begins to tick on its own. Her fingers twitch. Her lips curl into something that is almost a smile, but stretched too wide. Her eyes snap open, glowing, cold, unnatural. Victor stumbles back as Eleanor rises from the table. Not as a woman, not as a corpse, but as something else. "You wanted me to live forever," she murmurs, her voice a hollow echo. "Now I will." Victor tries to flee, but she is too strong now. Her fingers, now reinforced with steel joints, clamp around his wrist with crushing force. She tilts her head, smiling. "You'll never let me go." She leans closer, her breath like cold metal against his skin. "So I'll take you with me." Victor's screams echo through the mansion. The gears grind, the lights flicker. And then, silence. The next morning, the mansion is still. The resurrection device lies in ruins, wires sparking feebly. Victor's body is nowhere to be found. But deep within the house, if you listen closely, you can hear the steady, rhythmic ticking of a clockwork heart. And sometimes, in the dead of night, a shadow moves through the halls, and it whispers, "Time to wake up, my love."